I give the CIA a total credit for sponsoring and initiating the entire consciousness movement, counterculture events of the 1960s.
Terrible transition right there. But welcome back once again to another episode of Rise to Liberty podcast. Today we are actually, this is going to be the first official Survivors Stories series. That's a mouthful. But so the first official guest of this new series on the Rise to Liberty channel is, of course, one of my buddies, Kaity, or Stellar Fox 16 on Twitter, Substack, all the places. You can find everything linked down below in the episode description. So first and foremost, let's just kind of get the howdy do's out of the way, just a basic intro of who you are, and we'll just dive with both feet into it. So first of all, who are you?
Well, I'm Kaity. So I am a survivor of the MKULTRA, more so the Project Monarch branch off of MKULTRA. My biological father was basically an MKULTRA Monarch blend programmer, involved with the occult. So that was how I grew up.
Yeah, I was reading your pinned post on X earlier today just to refresh on a couple of things. And it's so fantastical. And I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like mind-boggling that you even strung those words together, in my opinion. So I guess first and foremost, we should probably define a couple of things, because I'm sure you've also noticed that not everyone believes every single word has the exact same meaning. So, okay, so I guess let's start with, do you think, like, I don't know, what do you think should be defined first?
Well, yeah, that is the question, but I guess Project Monarch, since that's more of like the
right
relatable thing. So Project Monarch is like the branch off that came out of the MKUltra experiments, which were mainly drug based and things like that. And then so Monarch was more of the trauma based mind control, mainly done on children, and experimentation to fracture identity into multiples or parts and create like just massive disassociation barriers for basically the purposes of brainwashing a child into having parts that are brainwashed in different areas, with amnesic barriers in between, to serve the purposes of occult goals or the government secret projects or black ops and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. Monarch is more of the
trauma-based mind control.
Yeah.
And that was the focus of it, was literally the creation thereof, traumatized kids that would be so traumatized that they would actually split into individual personalities, which is also known as dissociative identity disorder, and formerly multiple personality disorder, which I don't know, I still think both of them work just as fine. But so that was the focus of Monarch. Now, I know a lot of people, and by a lot of people I mean the deniers, will deny that Monarch ever existed because there's no proof. I have a big issue with this word proof. I don't know what you mean by proof. This is something that would have been highly unethical, insanely illegal, especially after the Nuremberg trials took place not too long before that. And here we are doing the same thing in our country this time, but largely with some of those Germans too. So, you know, I don't know what proof you're looking for. Nobody would have written down, this is what we did. My name is this. Here's my signature and my home address. Like, and I did this, this, and that. Like, I think that's part of the cover up. And without going on too far of a tangent, this idea of proof. What proof exactly are you looking for? But I think this is why having these conversations are so important, because although it might not be that paper of I did this to this person, I actually think the firsthand knowledge itself is some of the best proof. So before we get too deep, I do want to just say thank you for coming on. I know this isn't exactly an easy conversation. Hopefully I'm able to, you know, make it as easy as possible, because honestly, I'm super, super excited. And I think there's going to be a lot of benefit to this conversation. So, on that, once again, before we get too deep, due to the graphic nature of this content, viewer discretion is advised. My audience is smart enough to make a personal decision on whether they want to listen to the details. If they want their kids to watch or not watch, I don't care. You're all adults. You're smart enough to make your own decisions. Just know it could get hairy or dark, whatever you want to call it. So there's your heads up. Last chance. So on that, I was kind of going back to your pinned tweet, which is in the episode description. I recommend, whether you have X or not, go through it and read it, and then head on over to Kaity's Substack to go read her articles over there. Me and my mother just went through all of them this morning. You're a great writer, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But I think a couple of things that would be important to also define would be programming. What exactly is programming?
So, yeah, that is kind of a loaded. With program, I would say it's a more complex version of brainwashing, just as a starting position on what that is. So programming, especially in the cases of what I went through, what my dad did, what his associates did, is more of a methodology that is applied to like I've made some videos where I describe like the mind is like the software to our brain, which is the computer. So in putting it that way, programming is essentially programming a mind. And children are pliable, children are, you know, all that. So it's basically like a more of a recipe of programming a mind to do what someone wants.
And just for clarification, there is different types of programming depending on what the intended goal is, correct?
Yeah.
So with that, just a couple of other quick things I think are important to at least get your perspective on what the definition is. Exactly what is trafficking?
So trafficking is selling. It is selling or providing another. Well, in my case, it was a child, children to adults for either favors or money. So providing a good for
Right.
in exchange for stuff. Yeah.
Good or service, typically.
Mhm.
And then let's see. I wanted to make sure because I had a couple of notes, just real quick. This is also something that happens on this show quite a bit. I always think to bring something up and I don't. So, okay. Where was it? Let's see. Okay. So now exactly, I think this was the only other thing that I thought was worth like paying attention to, and that's what do you mean by SRA? What is that from your perspective?
So satanic ritual abuse is, I mean, it's essentially this, it's very similar to the monarch programming. I mean, it's really not that different. It's just
Right.
more of a belief based, like it, that is more, I guess you would, the way I would describe it is it's more, the functionality of satanic ritual abuse is more around the belief system of the ones perpetrating it. Monarch is different in the way that it is very methodical and like results driven.
Right.
And then satanic ritual abuse is more belief driven, in my opinion. But I know that has some, you know, other people have their opinions.
Right.
Yeah.
Personally, I believe it's all satanic. You know,
Yeah.
it's all pure evil in my opinion. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. That's interesting though. I have never thought of, you know, SRA versus just like monarch programming, like the public versus private, you know. So I think that's kind of where I wanted to lead to also, because this was something I was curious about. So tell us a little bit about your dad, your bio dad. What's his story? Where did he come from? Like, what's his background like? Why is he like this or was like this?
Yeah. So that's a, so my biological dad, the important thing to remember with him is that he and my mom were never married. So they were, um, she got pregnant with me, they were together, and then they broke up. So they literally, I was never in a shared house, like a house where they shared.
And
So
before I forget, what
yeah,
what decade are we talking?
1990s.
Okay, 90s baby like me. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, just for context.
Yeah. So my dad was a mystery to me for the first several years. Um, Eventually I was able to find family on that side, and I now talk to them a lot, or a lot more.
Right.
He half of his side of the family thought that he was CIA. The other
Interesting.
half of the family, yeah, the other half of the family was like, "What? There's no way." Um, when before I was born, he was a long time. See, both, this is where it gets kind of complicated. Both my parents
Right.
were a lot older when they had me. So
Right.
my dad was a Vietnam vet from the Air Force. He,
Do you know much about his military service?
not too much other than it was radios. He did a lot of work on radios.
Communications.
Yep,
Interesting.
yep.
That still could be kind of spooky and glowy, you know. So, all right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
back then. And he was a big ham radio operator. Um, like had his license, was always doing stuff on his ham radio, had gigantic equipment around the house, and
So it
a
was
lot
a
of the,
hobby for him.
oh yeah, like
Interesting.
a big thing. He had stuff that was you know, in the early 90s, like it wasn't common for people to have 5 computers
Yeah.
in their office
Right.
or
Right.
like giant satellite dishes like on the side of the house. Um, so there was a lot of just weird stuff in his background. He was some sort of like communications. I don't know if he was a manager or if he was a head of the department, but at first he worked for, is it CNN? It was either CBS or CNN. Um, and then I found out from a half brother I have that he left that job because he was stealing equipment. So yeah,
Oh.
he's psychopath. And then he worked at Fox News. So he was working at Fox News until I was like 12, and then he retired. Um,
Interesting.
so,
Okay.
you know, and there's a lot of weird stuff like um he didn't ever want to talk about anything in his past, but I have basically been able to get from either his ex-wife or family on that side, like some of the history.
And
And
did
that was,
he also have like a rough upbringing?
yeah, well, apparently, his mom and he spoke very highly of his dad, but hated his mom. Um,
Ooh, that's a
he
weird
said that,
dynamic.
yeah,
Huh. Okay.
she apparently used to lock him in the basement for weeks
Oh,
and like hit him with frying
okay.
pans.
Getting
So
some
there was a
Ed
lot of
Kemper
abuse.
vibes. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
highly unfortunate. Um,
yeah,
even despite what he ended up turning into later, no child should have to deal with that. That's really unfortunate,
yeah.
especially your mom.
Uh,
Damn. But
yeah, he
so
had a lot of anger. Yeah.
was did it like did he have a reason to speak highly of his dad, or was that kind of also a trauma response, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I mean, I don't know very much about his dad. That side of the family, there's some people say that the dad was like the sweetest, kindest person on the planet. Other people say, you know, he was kind of close to the chest. So I'm not really sure what went on. There's a lot of conflicting things. Like for the first bit of his life, they were gypsies and they traveled in caravans, and then they
So
settled
there's no
down, and then
record.
there's no record. I can't
Man,
find anything on him,
that's
honestly, which
so
is very bizarre.
that is really bizarre, especially for that time period. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, if people were traveling, they typically traveled for a reason, like military or jobs or something, but just, hey, we're going to go be hippies kind of thing is really odd for that time period.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. See, this is where I don't know. There's just so much information that just seems strange.
Right.
Like I said, people said they were gypsies in the United States, and then they settled down, and then he said he like grew up the rest of his adolescence on a farm, and then he joined the military at 18 to get away into,
Interesting.
yeah,
Hmm. Uh, and you said he joined the Air Force, correct?
yeah.
Okay. So you don't know a whole lot about his military career. Do you know how long he stayed in? Like, was he like in and out, or did he stay for a little while?
He stayed for a while. I know it was at least 5 to 6 years based on what I could get out of him, but
Right.
the rules at his house were very abnormal for childhood. I wasn't allowed to really
Be a
question
kid.
him. Yeah.
How dare you want to know things about your dad?
Yeah. basically.
So he was at least in for a little bit. Now, where do you think like he learned to do what he ended up doing? Did he learn it while in, or did he like make the connections while in that he was able to, use later? Like, where, from what you've gathered, where did this come into his life, or do you know?
So I can only speculate, but I'm thinking just based on the track he went from Air Force, then into these kind of like high positions at like news stations.
Which
That
is just propaganda.
Yep,
Like, it's Mockingbird media.
like
you
I
know
don't. It is, and he knew all about it. He knew all about the way the mainstream media manipulates. He knew the processes. He knew, all this stuff so hardcore that it just really makes me think he was either introduced to it or learned about it in the Air Force,
right,
or he, and then he either like, I don't know, because there's got to be something more to it,
right.
because he had associates, he had groups, he had
Hmm.
contacts, he had all this stuff.
So, the one thing I do know, as far as like the ghost in the machine, or the psychological warfare guys from any branch of the military, doesn't matter. Um, a lot of them tend to have training in communications, whether that's specifically like calling in, um, ship fire, keeping lines open between different platoons. Like, there's not just communications, but there's a specialization in something. Those are typically your psyop guys. The psyop thing being their main job, their main MOS. But then they have like a cover, something to be like, oh, no, I'm this,
Mm-hmm.
at least on paper. So that could be a possibility. Another thing I've heard, obviously I can't confirm this, that it's also kind of like a fraternity. Whereas once you're in the club, you get out, and your brothers and sisters uh, would help you get a job, say at CNN or Fox or wherever. And that sounds highly likely, especially if he was stealing equipment. Um,
That was his thing.
yeah, that's wild. So, do you know? You mentioned you have siblings, half siblings. Um,
Mhm.
are you the only child from him and your mother?
Yes.
So, how many half siblings do you have?
Um, so I have the only one I really consider a sibling is my mom's other child, but he had a different father. He was
Right.
8 when I was born. But from my dad, I have 3. Um,
Do you know
and they
anything
were,
about their backgrounds?
see, they're also really, I didn't even know I had a sister until I was 9. Um, I don't know anything about her.
Secrets.
Yeah, this no one will tell me anything. Um, I tried reaching out to her as an adult and she blocked me. Um,
Wow, real mature.
she's Yeah, and she still sees him. Um, I have people on that side of the family who will update me.
Right.
Um,
So
I have 2
he's
brothers.
still alive, the last you heard.
Yeah,
And for those who don't know, you haven't had contact with him since you were 16.
yeah,
Well, first
16.
of all, good for you. But
Thanks.
it seems appropriate. Um, how old is he now? Do you know?
he's got to be like 85, like 84 or 85, I think.
So he's a dusty
Um,
old fart at this point.
yep. And he's married again. And I've tried
Okay.
reaching out to the family. I've tried reaching out to everyone, and I can't find this woman's relatives to let them know. I don't know. But he lives in Silver, was it? I can't ever remember if it's Alabama or Georgia. Um, Kind of off the beaten path. I just kind of keep updates on him so I can make sure he's nowhere near me.
Right.
Um,
You can move around the chessboard before he gets close.
yep.
I don't
Right.
blame you at all.
Yeah. He's
So,
still kicking.
do you know by chance, like, did he do any of this with the other kids? Or do you at least have your suspicions?
I have my suspicions. One of my brothers is so I only knew about them growing up. Like there was no because they refused the day they turned 18. They walked out of his house and
Color
never
me
had anything
shocked.
to do with it. Yeah, one of them's like a raging alcoholic. Last I heard, and like is very dysfunctional. Won't leave his house. The other one I met a few times, and when I tried to tell him what happened, he stopped talking to me. So when I told him that I was trafficked by my dad and that he was involved in this stuff, he
Right.
just stopped responding.
Oh, wow.
They want to pretend like he doesn't exist. Um,
That's not how that works.
yep.
um, obviously I've never experienced something like this, so I can't imagine how difficult it is. But I can think, and based off of what I know, I bet it's probably the hardest thing anyone could almost go through. And so I understand why, yeah, let's sweep it under the rug, but that, I mean, life doesn't work that way. I mean, you can eat things and swallow it and pack it deep down in, but it's coming back out. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. That's unfortunate. So
Excuse me.
it's interesting because it kind of seems like by the time you came in to the picture, he was already like full-fledged, like knew what he was doing, had a plan, and set it in motion.
Yeah.
At least that's what it seems like. So that means, I mean, he was learning it way long beforehand. Do you have any idea, like, did he run with the people that taught him this? Like, were those people, I guess the closest thing you could call his friends? Like,
Well, he definitely didn't have typical friends. Um, he was the most loner adult I think I've ever still encountered. But the closest thing to friends were his like associates. Um, and I wouldn't even really say that his associates liked him. It was more just very professional
oh,
business. So even the other
wow.
traffickers didn't really enjoy his, I guess, the
Seems like
way
they
he saw
tolerated
things.
him.
Yeah. I
Man,
mean,
that's
I mean, he was a total psychopath, but I
right.
guess they were too. But there was always just, they'd come over, they would either do things to me or they would discuss things with him. His neighbor was also involved in trafficking, who had a little girl. Um, so I would either sometimes I would be going to the neighbor's house and there would be a lot of men doing trauma programming, or it would be at his house. So no matter what capacity it was, all these men he worked with were always, it was never out. He, as far as I'm aware, he never saw them outside of this capacity.
I
So
mean,
I'm
why
not
would
sure
you
where they,
want to?
yeah.
You know? Wow. Yeah. That's so you said that, at least from what everything you remember, is that this like basically started, I assume, when your mom told him she was pregnant.
Yeah.
People who understand what they're doing as far as the programming typically like to start it in the womb, the traumatizing, that is. Real quick before we get there, like, what happened between your mom and dad? She obviously didn't stay.
Yeah.
Did she have enough like awareness to be like, I'm out of here? And then how did you end up with him without her?
So the way it was explained to me was they found each other on in a newspaper classifieds ad,
Oh wow.
which is, I guess, how before dating things, that's how you did it. When she found out I was pregnant and she, or not, I was pregnant. When she found out she was pregnant with me, um, I guess the way she put it was that she saw a lot of very dark, dangerous behavior. Um, so she decided to leave. And then they got back together and then they broke up again. Um, which begs the question, which always was in my mind, like, well, okay, you saw this behavior, but you didn't, care to really, you still dropped me off. And so
Right.
it was half a week at his house and half a week at her house from the moment I was born. And before I was born, when they were together, a lot of this dangerous behavior involved stuff surrounding the pregnancy, from what she said, but I don't know what that means. She didn't really want to go into
Elaborate.
detail with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet she didn't. I mean, it just kind of seems like, yeah, he already started the trauma on her before she was even pregnant. Almost
Yeah.
like he was cruising the classified ads with the intent of starting this.
Mm-hmm.
That's so scary. That is so scary. Man, I'm glad classified ads are not a thing anymore.
Yeah, me too.
So, I mean, she must have been traumatized at some level. Otherwise, she wouldn't have kept going back.
Yeah,
So,
oh, go ahead.
I was just that's kind of a classic trauma response, is the,
Mm-hmm.
I know I need to get away from you. Oh shit, I need to be near you right now. Like that whole dynamic. I mean, I've experienced that in an abusive relationship I had with a woman, and it took me forever to get away from her because of that repeating pattern, and I would never wish that upon my worst enemy. So
Yeah.
it kind of sounds like, even if by proxy he wasn't trying to intentionally traumatize her per se, but he was traumatizing her with the thought in mind of traumatizing the child that doesn't quite exist yet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, I guess there were other things she didn't really want to expand upon, but she just kept saying, major red flags, major dangerous, violent, like dangerous, violent red flags. But
Right.
she said she didn't think it would transfer to me, but
You're right. Have you ever been able to like reconcile with her?
So she passed away last year, and
Sorry to hear that.
it's it's okay. I mean, we weren't really that close.
Right.
She had her own abusive tendencies, but she and I at the end kind of had a decent. I went out to see her last year, um, because she knew it was the last month or two. And she and I kind of just were honest, and she was honest, and she's like, "Yep, we never had a good relationship. I wish it was better. Anyways, I'm going back to bed." And then that was it,
Hmm.
which is honestly better than anything, but not to get too much into that. But
Right.
we've never had a good, relationship, which is, I
Right.
think, kind of the point of why my dad kind of picked her, because I went through what I did at his house, but then when I went to her house, it was complete psychological uh, manipulation that didn't make sense. So I was constantly in this, like, I was so disassociated. It's hard to explain, you know.
Right.
So
Well, I could only imagine. It sounds like nothing was stable.
mm-mm.
And
No.
I mean that's if a child needs anything, they need stability in something. And it sounds like you
Mhm,
had none, um, which is like the perfect environment for this to happen.
mhm.
Um, so to jump ahead a little bit, you said that from your recollection, this was basically from day one, and it seems like that. Like even at day zero, it's was already starting. Um, and you were programmed. Uh, we don't need to get into the specifics of how people want to learn that stuff. You can find it on your own. Um, although I think if you guys really are that curious, get a hold of me and I'll point you in the right direction so you're getting good information. But that's the details about that are not really the important part. Um, so I mean that's a pretty wide gap from birth to 11.
Mhm.
So like I said, without getting like the nitty gritty, like was it ebbs and flows of like I know something bad is happening, but I don't understand. Like what was it like? Do you like even now have any of the feelings still with you? Like what what was it like?
Honestly, a lot of it I never lost. So I know that that's kind of different from some what I've heard other survivors say, but it was like living in two different worlds, um, completely. Uh, when I'd go to my dad's house, I had, I mean, it was more like I was how would you describe it? Uh, like a literal asset, like a project. Like I had, from my earliest memories, it was blocked out time. We do this, then you are in your room for 3 hours. And I didn't have very many toys. There wasn't anything really provided. Then I'd have outdoor time where I'd be in the backyard for like a certain amount of hours. And
It sounds like
then,
prison.
yeah, and I never went anywhere, and we never did anything. It was a very isolating experience. Um,
I was gonna
I,
ask, do you
yeah,
have any good memories at all? Like was he ever a good dad, even accidentally?
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that they were good memories because his entire house and my whole existence there had just, it was just so thick. Like
Right.
if you can imagine a evil energy, like, and then expand that over a whole property, it was almost like a cloud of just horrible, evil funk.
Right.
Um,
Like swimming through sludge.
yeah, basically. He got me a lot of, I've always been a really big animal person. So he got me animals, but and that was like kind of a positive moment memory, but the thing was he would neglect them the half the week that I wasn't there. He had nothing to do with them, or they would mysteriously die and the stories wouldn't make sense.
Mm.
Or they were, or then, later I found out he was abusing them, but that's something I found out later on. So it's kind of hard to say there was any really good memories.
Right. The only reason I ask is just because even evil people are just complicated. They're super complicated. Um, so it kind of just sounds like he might be complicated, but he's not like a normal person
Mhm.
where he has like, even bad people have good traits about them, but it kind of doesn't seem like he did. It's like he was really just dedicated to the things he enjoyed.
He was. That's the probably the most accurate way to put it. Very dedicated to his hobbies.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
That's like Buffalo Bob kind of weird, like just hanging out with yourself all day. Like, I don't know. Hey, I'm a loner. I get it. Um, but I like other people too. you know,
yeah.
like I like my alone time, but eventually I'm done with my alone time. you know,
Mhm.
that's interesting. So it was basically just one foggy, murky haze. Um, so you said it stopped at 11. What was that like? Because obviously you would have been up leading up to this, you would have been like, hell no, this can't continue. So
Yeah.
I guess when did you start like really being like, okay, I see what's happening. This is not okay.
So that definitely happened when I was about 10 years old. And what started happening was I started noticing the difference in the way of, like, I started coming back from my dad's house and then having these like very strange realizations, like, but wait a minute, like, I don't have to do this specific routine throughout the day when I'm at my mom's house. Like,
Right.
I don't do that stuff when I'm here, and I don't have to like do like it. I started kind of putting it together that it was very bizarre. Like everything that I was doing, even without the sexual abuse like included, it was just very bizarre behavior. Um, and then I kind of just put up this like wall of like I don't want to do this anymore. But soon after that, when I started going to my father's house and then I started being a little more at his house, he thought I was perfect. He thought I was the most perfectly behaved child on the planet, which was a very stark contrast to at my mom's house, trauma and all that, and I was terrified of
Right.
him. Um,
Yeah, it's real easy
yeah,
to behave when you're terrified, you know?
yeah, and the punishment is like worse than most people can imagine.
Right.
Um, so I started kind of pushing back against him. And then with the programming that with programming, he made it so basically it's really fucked up, but he made it so that he was the point of stability in my life. So
Oh, that
without
is fucked up. Ooh.
yeah, without his codes or whatever he had written down, he had like a whole briefcase full of like all these different documents on me. Without him, technically, I would be so unbearably dysfunctional that I wouldn't be able to function. And so when I started pushing back, this aligned at the same time I guess he was dating his now ex-wife, um, who ended up being Mina Savari's mom. So that was kind of happening at the same time I started pulling away and then fighting or pushing back against him. And it caused, I still don't really remember what exactly happened, but I kind of broke. And for months after that, um, I was just out of my mind. My mom and my stepdad, who came along eventually, had to like take time off work for months because I was like out of control. I cut off all my hair. Like I was slashing tires and I was breaking, like I would just black out and like go nuts. No one knew what was happening. So then I ended up at um, UCLA's neuropsychiatric unit, which was it all over your intro, uh, the Westwood
Johnny
neuropsych ward.
West.
Yep. And I was there for 2 weeks, and that was a whole experience. But then after I got out of that, um, he was more serious with the, Candy, I call her, who became my stepmom. So at that point, and then I got closer to 11, that's when everything kind of, it was almost like he was like done with me and now on to Candy. And
Yeah, because he had a shiny new toy.
yeah. So, and then I went through the whole psychiatric thing. I
Right.
was put on so much medicine that I was like out of it at all times. And then he moved to Alabama, and then things continued, and I still don't know how the stuff as a later teen happened, but I
Right.
mean, they said they knew him, so I guess he kind of just set it up.
So a little bit like about him, I guess in this time period. So obviously he had like connections to a network,
Yeah.
because there were other freaks like him, that he associated with. So was he doing this? Like, was he teaching people how to do it? Was he like, or was he just like an insane enthusiast? Or like, was he working on behalf of somebody? Like, do you know any of that?
So so it's hard to explain without going into a little more of the details with, so like from what I can remember when I'm young, when I was, from my earliest memories to 10, 11, there were so many different places and people. There were vacations, um,
Real quick,
vacations.
I want to break down for everybody
Okay.
some of the places that you were taken.
Yeah. Oh, were you?
Yeah, where you were
Oh,
taken, where you were trafficked.
yeah.
So
So oh, did you want me to list them or were you gonna?
yeah, I figured that it would be better coming from you.
Oh, yeah. So Las Vegas was a really big one. Disneyland Hotel Disneyland, I mean, was obviously part of it, but it was the hotel
Right.
in my situation. Um, there were some museums. I don't think that I was involved in the Getty stuff, but there were art museums in California. I don't know.
I mean, that's a dime a dozen.
Yeah. And Catalina Island. Um, I'm probably forgetting some, but Disneyland Hotel and Las Vegas, I would say, were like, oh, I mean, there were like yacht shows and things like that. That was a big trafficking hub that he took me
That
to.
does not surprise me. And that's so perfect too, because like who else is going to go to, this weekend's annual boat show, Sunday, like who's going to that other than old rich guys with the money to buy a damn boat?
Mhm.
The two places from your pin tweet, the two places that like stuck out to me, didn't shock me at all, but just like from the very first time I read it, stuck out to me was the Speedy video rental and a pizza restaurant. Like that's so on brand.
It is. And I guess so the pizza restaurant was very specific to his boat. He didn't have a yacht, but he was a big boat enthusiast.
Weird.
Yep. Sailboat. I've narrowed it down to the marina that he kept it at, which was, I have it written down. Because it's changed names. I don't remember if it's Holiday Harbor in Laguna, not Laguna. I have to look at it because I've narrowed it down, but I wrote it down somewhere. So he had his own sailboat, and that was like a frequent thing. We'd go there for like 3 or 4 days, spend the night on the boat. There were a lot of activities surrounding that. And there was a pizza restaurant that was near the marina. And I still don't know I don't know if it was actually called Fat Pizza, but I called it Fat Pizza. So it was the pizza restaurant and the boat were kind of like two in the same,
right?
Like as far as things like that. And then the video rental places that had to do a lot with child pornography,
right?
Which he would trade back in the VHS days. So
very common back then.
mm-hmm.
Well, and that's kind of why I was asking, like, was he working with people? Because so the one thing I do understand about how some of these circles work is, as sick as it is, these guys are enthusiasts. And so it's kind of like going to any other convention. It's like, look what I did. Look what I learned. I'll teach you how to do it too. Hey, what's that technique? Like it's some really sick shit. They talk about it the same way as somebody who's into model trains or like building model airplanes. It's so strange. Makes my skin crawl. So I do know that there's that aspect to it. And of course, the big thing of trading porn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is with the older generation, because I never ran into this in our generation, but with like older Gen Xers and even earlier, they love trading porn. I don't know what it is. Even people that aren't into the weird stuff trade porn, and it grosses me out. It really grosses me out. So I can only imagine that these guys, especially because it's so hard to come by, are actively doing it all the time.
Yeah.
But so outside of that, and kind of had the dynamics of these perverts, do you know, like, was he ever contracted to do anything? do you know of like if he programmed anyone else while you guys were out and about? Anything
Well,
like that?
he did. So he didn't do all the programming. So he had people who helped him program me. So I'm assuming that he helped other people. But with the type of technology that he had access to in regards to like these weird places that I would be taken to, or that he would pay my mom to take me to, because like her and I got into a huge fight when I was an older teen because I found uh I don't know if it was an envelope or like some sort of notebook that she had with like check stubs, or not check stubs, but some sort of receipt from like things that he had written a check. I don't know if they were photocopies or something, and it had like gift, or it had like blah 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 appointment for Kaity at the bottom.
Oh my God.
And she didn't have child support set up with him. Like he didn't pay child support because it was 50-50. So when I brought it up to her, she kind of freaked out and shut it down. But these places I would be taken to were not normal places. So in the technology that they had and the things that they would do, had they just he had to have been working with someone, like, or
Right.
some people that were really connected. And his whole purpose was he would teach me all these things at the same time. Like I wasn't allowed to ask questions, but I was also expected to know the rules. And you
You're
live
supposed
like,
to be a mind reader.
yeah, I mean, you like,
Wow.
everything you have to do, like, you have to present a certain way.
Mhm.
Like, when I take you to this place, like, you have to behave this way. Um,
And I shouldn't
it,
have to tell you. You
yeah,
should just know, and you should
yep,
do it when I want you to do it, but I won't tell you when to do it.
pretty much.
Yeah, that's classic, like narcissist, self-grandiose, holier than thou.
Mm-hmm.
He sounds truly insufferable. Uh, Beyond, like, minus all of the uh, awful, god awful treatment you received. Just as a person, he sounds insufferable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he keeps getting wives, but like, apparently,
Lying,
just, yeah, no, that's true.
leading
I
a
should know that.
you know.
My cousin that I talked to, she, like, for example, right now, she's very frustrated with she's she's like my second cousin. Her dad is my dad's brother, but he passed away a long time ago. It's complicated, but
Right.
her mom right now is under my dad's like spell right now.
Oh, great.
And so, and I can't do anything about it. And my cousin keeps trying to tell her mom, but she came to me like a few months ago, and she's like, I swear to God, every person this man goes near ends up mind controlled. And I'm like, I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and that's
what do you do?
so the other kids just wanting to sweep it under the rug. Yeah, that's why it doesn't work that way, because guess what? He's a danger to himself and others. you know?
Yep.
Um, Somebody in the chat mentioned, sounds like he did early internet encrypted communications and
Yes, he did.
ham radio. So that's a really interesting point. So I myself am not a ham operator, but it is an interesting hobby to me. I just don't have the time, patience, or money, but it is fascinating. Now, I do know within those circles, you can run into some weird shit. Like, people think, like, we have in my area, we have a fetish club down in like the main city. Like there's some weird shit. So for those who don't know, I live in Utah, so the main city I'm talking about is Salt Lake City. Yes, Mormon capital. There's a bunch of weird shit here, though. The ham radio operators are far weirder than anything like that. So, just to give kind of a scale reference of how weird on the scale of weird, it's stranger than an underground dance club. So, with that many computers and that early on, it does kind of seem like that's his role in the network.
I think so. I mean, I can tell you how bizarre it was. This was like, I'm talking 1994, 1995, 5 computers in a single room with like a wall of TVs, which he also used. I mean, it was color programming, so this was in the pink room and he had all these TVs. But as far as the encryption goes, that type of like stuff went on not only with him, but when I was trafficked after he left for Alabama and I was kind of passed to these other groups. That kind of, I guess, I don't know if it was like a punishment because I defected or if it was just was because he moved and he just kind of handed me off. That's how they communicated too, was this encrypted, like this weird voicemail system that worked through computers but also phones. But this was like 2003, 2004. So that kind of, and I'm sure they still use stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
I think he was some sort of communication guy.
The the alternative communications community is actually having a resurgence, like a massive resurgence. I've seen interest in it spike, which is actually kind of a good thing because you get a bunch of new people in and hopefully it shines some light and does a little purification in some of those darker corners. So that could be a good thing. But yeah, there's still plenty of these weirdos that have been doing it since the 60s or 70s. Which, hey, I'm not knocking a hobby. However, you don't have to turn your hobby into your personality either, because that's clearly not healthy. That early on with that much computer equipment is very strange. Because most people wouldn't know how it functions, but clearly he did.
Yeah, and this was before AOL.
Right.
So like,
Yeah, that's very strange. So it kind of seems like he had like a role to play, and then so there was going to at least be, the rules of the club. There were expectations from him and other members, which it kind of seems like to be in the club, he had to have found somebody to program, which unfortunately was you. And that was like his entry into the boys club, I guess. I even feel gross talking about it like that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I totally understand. I'm just so used to it. So it's
right.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That is a lot. It just the realization that, because I'm sure for him it literally is just second nature. He doesn't even think past it. So that's makes me a little sick, if I'm being honest. So when you started noticing these things, so he was obviously interested in his new wife. He wasn't putting the time or effort into keeping your programming updated, because for those who don't know, it's a continual thing. And once you stop, it starts breaking down. which is, in my opinion, why we saw a huge spike in sexual abuse cases in the 80s. What started the Satanic Panic, because 20 years earlier, was the height of MKUltra at the time. So you have huge groups of people who were being programmed and being abused at all different levels for different reasons. And then the programming ends. So their programming starts breaking down. All of them start turning into their early to mid 30s, which, usually most people will have a flood of memories come back. Something will trigger it. Not everybody, but on average. So in my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why we started seeing all these lawsuits that started taking place. Kids suing their parents for molesting them when they were younger. Then you have the False Memory Syndrome Foundation come in and just ruin justice. But so it seems like he was preoccupied and he just didn't put the time in. And then obviously, because of what was happening, excuse me, like anyone is going to freak out and start talking back, start challenging authority, start behaving incredibly strangely, because he is not in control of the behavior of all the alts at this point. Like, do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, it was it was so bad. It was everything kind of broke down. I kind of lost it. He ended up marrying Candy, my then stepmom. But when he married her, this was post UCLA neuropsych. I was loaded up on, I think, like 8 different types of psychiatric medicine.
So you were a zombie.
Yeah, I was literally a zombie. Like if I were to pick it, like, I don't know, I should have picked. I have some pictures somewhere. I have to find them where like my pupils were like just like this, like just it
right.
was terrible.
They didn't know what was wrong, so they just sedated you.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they didn't even look at abuse, the whole usual story.
Right.
But then when I was about almost 14 is when these other groups came in, and I was just so disassociated, just following the day-to-day. I don't even know where they came from, but they mentioned my dad a few times. So
like,
it was just kind of continuous.
Were they part of the same network, or do you know, or like, was it just like somebody not even related, but in the same line of work?
They're still in like the same network, but I think that they were different. They were more involved with 13 to 15-year-olds.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
I didn't even think of that aspect of the organization of the network. Oh my God, that makes it so much worse too. Holy hell. Yeah, there's going to be their preferences that also blend into how the whole organization is structured. Because here's a thought I've been having a lot. I think a common misconception, people say, child abuse networks, plural, or child trafficking networks. I think it's all just one network, right? Like, it's like there might be offshoots, ones that talk more than others, but it's all the same thing, right? Like, it's one network that's just spidered out.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't know why there would be like, it's not like they're gangs, like they're, I mean, I'm sure there's like some like rivalries amongst cartels and other people, but I mean, you're still human traffickers. So how much competition is there really, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and this is one of the most disturbing hobbies in the world. You've got to get lonely and you probably talk to your competition. So, yeah, it just seems like it's one big network. It's not multiples. And like I said, there might be more localized versions, but somebody still has a connection to another person in a bigger city, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's very strange. So they mentioned him by name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did you come into contact with them?
I don't really remember. Some of them it was online, but that is the thing that I don't really remember because
Interesting. And how old were you at this point?
13. I was around 13. All I know it was as far as I'm aware, it was online they found me online, but that doesn't make sense at the same time whenever I've tried to think about it because how would they have just randomly found me online?
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
And
It would have been a directory where they
mhm,
had records of who was in the network.
yep,
Oh,
that's what I've
that's awful.
yeah, I mean they said I don't know what his position was, but they said something like, that's Robert Davis's that's Bob Davis's daughter. Everyone called him Bob. Um,
Hmm.
so
So he
I
had
don't
some
know.
pull then. Like he was
Yeah,
known.
at least in some ways, at least to these
Weird.
people. And these people ended up being, I don't, I know even less about them except for, I mean, I knew their face and like the name they went by. Um, but like they trafficked me to uh, a guy who worked at Skunk Works in Lancaster. Um, all of it gets a little weird when I get to this point because this was like drug heavy. Like I was
What kind
set
of
up
drugs?
on, I'm not really sure. It was
Party
like
drugs like ecstasy, GHB, probably.
all I remember is the effects. It was very visual, like
Psychedelic party drugs. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. So very disabling, very visually everything
Right.
started doing this. Um, and then I don't know. I would be gone for hours and then I would like the only reason I knew he worked at Skunk Works is because he took me to a building because he had to get something. But by the
Hmm.
time I woke up, it had been 6 hours since I was last conscious. So
Huge chunk of missing time.
yeah, there was a lot of that. And like I don't know. And the craziest part is about that whole situation was I kind of just repressed it, like gone for like until I was like 16 and a half, 17. And it was the craziest thing because I worked at a restaurant in Southern California called Rosie's Barbecue. And I was a hostess. And the main guy walked in the middle of the day with like four men in suits. They looked like coworkers, and it was him. And I was like, "Oh my God, that literally happened!" And I walked up to the table after sitting them, and I was like, "Hi, Mike," and he was like, face purple red and like dripping sweat
Heart in
and like,
throat, asshole
yeah,
in chair.
Yeah. And he, came over and like was like, "Why are you?" And I was
Is
like,
this the man? I think I remember you posting about him.
"Yeah."
That was like a music producer, or it was doing something in the music industry, or trying to.
That was Randy Leherman, and he is friends with this guy, Mike.
All right,
So Mike was like the head,
head piece of
well,
shit.
yeah, one of the head pieces of shit during this time period, and Randy was also associates with him. But
Hmm.
Randy still is a DJ in LA, still going. And I've tried, and it's like there's people are like, "Why don't you
Weird.
tell the police?" And it's like I filed reports, but they're not. I
Right,
don't have a binder of evidence, so.
right. Um, so I mean, he's still out there. He's
Mhm.
could probably is most likely still involved somehow. Um, did he like, if you remember, did he have you like running hustles for him, or like was he like
What?
more of like a pimp, or like what's his deal?
Which one, Randy or Mike?
Well, I guess either. Well, which one? I don't know how I would say it. Like which one? I guess claimed you. Which one said that like they were you were
Mike.
theirs? Mike.
Mike would, yeah, because Randy was kind of, I mean, he is a child trafficker, like hands
Right.
down, but he was more of a scout who got to also participate.
Mm,
But
weird.
he, Mike was the one that was like the one I would be responsible to if I fucked up. But the
Right.
problem is that it was kind of hard to even know if I fucked up because I was so gone. Like, I was still taking like 8 or 10 different medications. Like, I was zombified out on that. And then I was being trafficked and then given these drugs. And it was so bizarre because Mike had, I swear to God, it sounds like so ridiculous and made up because there's so much stuff. Mike had connections in San Francisco. So when I was on like a school trip, stuff happened. I was gone for like 12 hours and almost got expelled
Oh my god, on a school trip.
on a school trip. Yeah. Like I don't know, was it a graduate? It was probably, I think it was a graduation trip. I think I was in eighth grade, where we stayed for like 4 or 5 days in San Francisco. Um, so Mike had a lot of pull, but I don't even know if Mike is his real name.
Right.
But he would be during that point, like he was like the one that called the shots essentially. Like, and
Interesting.
if someone like pissed him off too much, like he would be the one that would like order a hit or like for a girl to be OD'd
Right.
or something like
Right.
that.
So he's at least a shot caller.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you don't remember like how, I guess, you got transferred to these guys?
Hmm.
Is that whole like going from your dad to these weirdos, is that all just a blur? Is that what you don't remember?
Yeah.
Oh, I am so sorry. That
It's been very frustrating.
right. I bet, trying to piece it all back together. And who knows if you can. um
Hmm.
so this was, you were 15, 16 at this point?
Well, it ended, it really ended when I was like 15 and a half, but then seeing Mike again happened a year and a half or 2 year a year to 2 years after I had last seen him. And I had
Interesting.
nothing to do after 15 and a half. Like I was like, I had to just try to live as if it never happened. Just try to keep my head on a swivel.
Right.
Tried to like not gain attention. Tried to act like there was no way anymore for them to like reach me. So it would be dangerous for them type of situation. But
Right.
then he was just there. And like, it was like, oh my God. So like this, like, you start to doubt yourself after a while. Like, did that really happen? Am I just
Right.
like, but he was really like, Ray was like right there. And it was like, oh my God. So like,
Right. And he clearly knew you.
yeah, he clearly knew who
Interesting.
I was. Hmm.
Um, so did these guys know the programming side of things like as well as your dad did?
No,
Or was that like not even their bag really?
they knew like there were some things that there were still, so they still had some knowledge of like what specifically was to me done codes and programming and color wise, but they were not like nearly as they were more they were into other types of things. um there was a group there, so there was Mike, there was Randy, there was, and then there were these other men who were involved with them also, and some of them were into hunting games, um and some
Right.
of them were into just providing girls to high power associates. Like
Are we talking
I'm assuming,
kidnapping?
no, like the guy who worked at Skunk Works, like for example, people like that who had the hobby of purchasing young teens for whatever it was. Um, it just was kind of like there was a whole operation on. Do you remember Camfrog? Did you ever hear about Camfrog?
Yes. I have not
That
heard
was,
that in a while, but yes.
yeah, Camfrog was Randy's. That was where that like Randy Letterman, like he did the DJ stuff, he scouted and he did all that, but like his thing was Camfrog more than the
Hmm.
other aspects of trafficking. Mike was more of like the in real life uh head honcho of everything.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
so they all kind of had
Sounds
their little areas.
sounds like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yep.
um, that's really interesting. So, I mean, they're not really into like the programming side. It seems like they like some of the benefits, but it wasn't they didn't want to put in the work, obviously.
Yeah. And the trauma kept it from kind of unraveling the programming, and
Right.
it kept me in it, but it wasn't. I feel like I kind of noticed that anyone who had been programmed in childhood was kind of, you, at a certain point, kids were like divided up into these other groups. Like at a certain point, not always, but like at least some of the ones I knew, like there would be girls or boys sometimes that I had seen at some places, and then me thinking this is a completely different group or place that I'm being dropped off at, they would also be there, sometimes.
Right.
So it's just all kind of, like you said, it's like it kind of led me to this conclusion that it is just one network of these like webs in all like that are all over the place, but ultimately they connect.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you can't be that far away from,
no.
it's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever. It's probably a lot closer than 6 degrees though. And it's Kevin Spacey,
Mhm.
dark joke. So what can you say about like your specific programming? Bless you, by the way.
Thanks.
What was unique about your programming versus somebody else that you would know, or somebody else that was in the same situation as you? Like, what was there anything specific that you were used for like that? Um, did you have a job, I guess?
Yes. So, um, for me, it had to, it gets kind of metaphysical woo at a certain point, so it's kind of hard to describe, but
Right.
um, frequencies were a really big part of, I don't know how I would put it into words. Like I wasn't like, I know some survivors were like trained to be like assassins or child assassins or sleeper cells. But for
Right.
me, I was used to access um, or communicate through, I don't know how to describe it. There were just, I'm trying to think of how to describe. So I did a lot of like, the gateway tapes
Oh yeah.
from
Oh yeah.
Monroe. Um, I don't know if I don't think it was actually Monroe tapes that I listened to. I'm pretty sure it was a completely different variation of that.
Right.
Um, but it was mental training with frequencies, not only for the abuse and programming, but
Right.
also
Interesting.
for their ritual benefits. Um,
Oh, that's so scary. Because I
yep,
mean, that's what the hearing test in the gate program was.
yep, which I was also into. So,
Yeah, I remember I had a hearing test when I was in elementary. I was in 4th grade, which is weird that it happened that year because that was a very traumatizing year for me. Um,
hmm,
but I was doing my hearing test and I remember this vividly. There was a new person there for the hearing test, and they had a badge on from the military base, because lived literally like right up the street from a military base. And this person at an elementary school um, was in the nurses station watching all the kids get their hearing tests. And he was dressed nice, it wasn't like he was in BDUs or anything. He wasn't in camos, but uh,
yeah,
he's in a button-up shirt, khakis, had a briefcase, and he had an ID badge that said Hill Air Force Base. So what the fuck does the military base want to do with this? Like, um, I mean, we kind of know now, but yeah, that's I think at some point all the 90s kids were touched by this.
yep.
Um, because that was part of the research and development part, right? Is they put it literally in every school.
Yeah, I think you're correct because like how many of us were like in these weird places where they had, I've heard stories from all over the country. Like there's got
Right.
to be, I know that um I was in Los Angeles. Los Angeles Unified School District was like, apparently they have now, people have now like discovered like it all fed into a CIA thing, but like this was happening in schools all over the place.
Right.
So it's just crazy. It's crazy. They were definitely looking for kids.
Oh yeah, they were intentionally looking for something. I'm honestly kind of excited to see what the future is going to bring, because we still don't know a lot about this. Everything's still hidden and classified, and I have a feeling we're gonna, especially in the next few years, we're probably gonna get some really big drops, and it's gonna explain a lot. So it was only a matter of time, because the truth never stays buried. The truth always comes to light. Might take a while, but it never stays buried. So at some point, we'll at least learn something. But that's interesting about the frequencies, though. So were you used to like pass messages on through that, or were you like triggered by the frequencies?
Um,
Or I guess both, or none of the
well,
above.
it's like the frequencies definitely could be used to like be a trigger, but it was more of like they were measuring something, and I'm not really sure exactly what they were measuring, but I mean, I would see things,
Would you do it
but
with others nearby, like try to connect to make like a bigger grid?
not with others. This was usually with him and his associates, or practice with that he would have me do just him. Like um, I had to do these like tapes. Well, they were cassettes back then, and I had to spend a certain amount of time doing them. And then would, then I was expected to be at a certain point when I was brought around his like associates to do things. I don't really know specifically what they were trying to do, but they used it in rituals. They would set me up to like listen to get to a certain brain state, but then they would do things while I was in this brain state. But it was like they were trying to they would try to contact something, and I don't know what it had to do with me being in a certain brain
Right.
state, but that's
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it kind of sounds like they were trying to open you up to be a conduit,
yeah.
to be uh to be open at a particular spiritual level that maybe is not natural to our plane of existence. um, which sounds truly terrifying. Um, because I mean, that's like getting in contact with interdimensional beings, which who only knows what that means.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty woo, but I mean, they were it's there
I
was
mean,
some crazy stuff.
whether anyone believes it or not, it seems like they believed it, which is almost scarier, you know. um, so is this kind of where the SRA comes in, or was that earlier with your dad,
Um,
or I guess
well,
kind of all of it?
it's kind of all of it, because the frequency stuff was when I was really little, up till when he switched handling to his new wife. Um, the SRA was, I mean, it was all the same. It was all kind of bundled together, because he didn't specifically worship Satan or
Right.
Lucifer specifically. His stuff was, I couldn't even tell you the names, because I wasn't exactly paying attention to who exactly they were
Yeah,
saying their rituals
I
to.
bet that's the last thing you were worried about.
Exactly. The people have asked me, and it's like I was kind of like distracted, but
Well, and I'll be honest, it kind of doesn't matter.
yeah.
Because the one thing I know about like the occult and um, occult belief, uh, ritualistic tendencies and practices. One symbol can mean 10 different things to 10 different people. There can be a general overall, like, this is what it means, but that's the point of symbolism as a language, is that it means something different for each group. So it just only matters what it means to them. Which is why I never understood, how were we able to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs? Like, how are we sure that that's what it meant? How are you so sure? Like,
yep.
It does, or like reviving a dead language. How do we know? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So it kind of seems like the same thing to me. It's like, this is how one organization can use the same symbol. One can use it for pure evil, the other one can use it for good. Because it's all of this is not about the symbol itself per se, it's the intent behind the use of the symbol.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting that way. It's always the intent, which is scary, because it seems like the people that were in charge of handling you had some really scary intentions.
They did. And he was involved with like a few different groups. Like, I don't know what he was. I mean, he thought he was like a god. I mean, they all kind of thought they were gods. So
right. Well,
there
that
were
is
lots of
satanic in nature, is that no gods, no masters. So I don't know if you know, but I was a proud Satanist for over 10 years. Luckily, things never got too weird for me. I was always too independent, so I didn't ever want to like join up with anybody. But I digress. That's a different discussion for another day. It was interesting because I was attracted to the idea of, oh, I am my own God, like, I have ultimate freedom of knowledge and awareness and free will. Free will was given to humanity by Satan in the Garden of Eden, like all of this stuff, right? So it makes entire sense that every single one of them will be like, I am God. It's like, yeah, that's Satanism 101, is you are your own God, and then it goes to do what thou wilt from there, and then it gets scary.
I mean, he seemed more interested in, they seemed like the occultists that at least he was working with, associated with, and the stuff he did himself. It really seemed like less like worshiping, or like, which I'm sure you like, it's like what you said, like there's no one above them, but they're asking to work with, like,
Right.
in exchange for power and things like that, or to backdoor their way into energies that, or places that like humans aren't supposed to go.
Yeah.
Like that was like a big goal of them, that theirs too.
Right.
Try to usurp things that they believed were there, that they weren't supposed to access.
They also sound retarded. I'll just be honest with that. Because that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I wholeheartedly believe it. I wholeheartedly believe that they thought those things, and they thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, they really do. It's kind of it gets, I remember distinctly feeling almost insulted as I got older at how actually stupid these people are. Like,
right.
it just kind of blows your mind how actually just really dumb, really, really
Right.
stupid they are. But
They get away with a lot somehow.
mhm,
Um, so as someone that's been on the other side, so I mean, I'm a person on the outside looking in.
mhm.
What I mean, what does it look like on the other side? Because you know when you're in it. I guess what I'm asking is when you are on that other side, how big of a world is this? How prevalent is this?
To me, it seemed like it was just as big as the world that we're all presented. But, well, if the world that is presented is a country, then, or no, a state, then this would be like most of the state. I don't even know if that's a good analogy. It's like a shadow society, is really how I saw it.
Right,
Like
it's the criminal underground.
it is. But it also the scary part is that it operates in like broad daylight. Like um uh Ventura Boulevard. I don't know if you're even familiar with LA. Ventura Boulevard
A
is
little
like
bit.
this really, really long street that goes, you can drive down it and end up like several cities away and like in
Right.
industrial areas and stuff. Um, at a certain point, like for across several years, like there would be just there was like these random little aquariums, um, little hole in the wall aquariums on Ventura Boulevard, and we would just walk in, and it was new, but he would know someone in there, or he would go to
That
a
is
movie theater.
terrifying.
Yep. It was like and it was just like he always somehow knew someone. There was a janky little hardware store like off the beaten path, like in a neighborhood that wasn't even close to where I lived, and he we could go in there and he knew someone.
Right.
So it just seems like it exists within our society, but only for those who know what to look for or what where it exists, I guess.
Right.
But it's
Well,
very
because
large.
you would never know that it exists unless you did know.
Yep.
Because also, why are you looking for it if you aren't trying to be a part of it? Because I won't say most, but I'll say the average person is probably not trying to be a part of it, so they're not going to look for it. Now, I don't understand why the average person, if they get told that it exists, why they reject that fundamentally. I think that's also the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Um,
Hmm.
that really frustrates me. Yeah, it totally exists. No, that's a conspiracy theory, or that's a lie. It's not as bad as people say. Where's the proof? It's my favorite. Where's the proof?
Yeah, that one really pisses me off.
It's like I don't know what proof you want, and even if I could produce some proof for you, I'm pretty sure you would just reject whatever I present you. So
Yep.
this is a dead end, anyways. Um, so were you able to like have any sort of like a semblance of like a relationship with other girls that were in the network being trafficked? Like, did you ever
No.
have any friends or?
Well,
I mean, I don't know if you could call them friends, but
I mean, there were a few girls that I would say were acquaintances, but well, like kind of like the version of friends you could have in that situation. But the problem was I learned very quickly not to get too attached to the other kids in these places where there were, if I was dropped off at someone's house or taken to like a party,
Right.
full of adults and kids and like things like that. There were a lot of that stuff. There was a lot of that stuff. I learned not to get too attached because I would either A, not see them again, or they
Right.
would die. And then as I got older, it became impossible because there's a good amount of kids that, when they get older from trafficking, end up being kind of complicit, and they take the proximity to power very seriously. Like, they will stomp on your face to
Right.
get favor from the traffickers. So I just was like, I just kept to myself. It,
Right.
neither of those situations were really great.
So what was it like when you finally like stepped out of this? What was that like? How did that happen?
So that was a slow burn, slow. When I was about 15, I kind of reached this point where it's like, it's now or never. Like, I've got to do something. I don't want to be in this. I don't even know how it's gone on this long. Um, and I just tried to slow down because, like, okay, this was like 2005. So the only way that they really had to contact me was my cell phone or the internet.
Right.
So I essentially just responded slower, stopped talking to them. Um, I made up some. I had a trip. I had a family vacation to go on, which really helped, because it was like a 2 week vacation. So when I got back, I just kind of stopped responding. And then when that caused problems because they don't like it when you don't respond. Um,
Yeah, I imagine.
yeah, I faked I know how it sounds ridiculous, but I faked having problems with my computer, that I had gotten a virus on my computer, and that my parents were taking my computer in to get fixed, but it would take a few months.
Right.
And so I kind of dragged this out. Um, and then eventually I just stopped talking to them. And I just hoped for the best. I'm like, they're either going to kill me or they're not going to do anything. They know where
Right.
I live, they know all that. And they just, they didn't do anything. And I still think about it and
Hmm.
I'm like, God, I hope they're not still like just following.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure someone's following my every move, but like they let it go. So I just
Right.
thank God for that, I don't know. But
Yeah, well, and it kind of seems like why spend the time chasing after somebody when I could just get somebody more obedient?
yeah,
You know, get somebody a little more fine tuned at this point that I don't have to put the energy into. Um,
yeah,
well, I honestly, that to me, I try not to make things religious because I just don't like to. But that does sound like divine intervention, if I've ever heard
I,
of any. Um,
I feel like it was, you
right.
know.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I've heard so many worse stories. um, so, I mean, what do you do from that point, though? Because obviously, there's like things wrong and you've got to deal with these things. So, what do you do? Like, I'm not even sure. Like, just trying to conceptualize it, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, I didn't honestly, the first 3 months were terrifying because I just was convinced someone was just gonna do something. But I kind of had, I mean, this was around the same time I like had a suicide attempt because of what I knew. And of it was just a really bad time, and that was basically like the catalyst. Like, I can't live in this. This is horrific.
Right.
So after that, I just was like, I have to just put it all behind a wall. Not like actually repressing it, but like, this cannot have anything to do with my life. Like, if I'm going to go forward, if I'm going to be a normal person and I'm going to have a normal life, like,
Right.
I just can't deal with it because I didn't know what else, to do. Um, but then of course, like, nothing would, it seems like I couldn't even get away from that, because then I saw Mike at the restaurant I worked at like
Right.
a year later. Um,
Just make your stomach sink.
yeah. I didn't know what to do, and I'm sure people are like, why didn't you call the police and why didn't you do that? And it's like, well, what evidence do I have? And
And what are they going to do?
they're not going to do anything. And
Right.
LAPD is like, there are a lot of them that are involved in this stuff. Like, there
I
were
bet.
parties where they came to. So
Right. Well, and I mean, you just got to look at LA County Sheriff's badge. I mean, it has the spiral, the pedophile spiral on it. So, I mean, I don't tend to believe in a lot of the, conspiracy slop post stuff, but there are some things like that where it's like, ooh, that's way too on the nose to be a coincidence, and the LA County Sheriff's Department badge. Anybody listening to this, just go look it up. It's literally just like one gigantic pedophile swirl. So, and it makes sense too. I mean, LA is a hub.
yeah.
It's crazy to me. Before knowing this, knowing of this world, I never really thought about it. But if you like overlay maps of sightings or where, trafficking rings get busted or any of these things, they almost exclusively follow the interstate. And it's like that's such a easy, simple concept, but not if you don't know. Like, yeah, it makes sense because you can get almost anywhere very quickly. And it's super easy to rent up a U-Haul, throw 20, 30 kids in the back and head on down the road, and you're next state over before anyone even knows.
Yeah. No, it's scary. I mean, it was threatened. I don't know how much Mike was. I don't really know oh, I just moved my leg. I don't know the extent to which, I don't know who he was exactly involved with, but it was told to me that the docks were, not just not just the docks in um, Southern California, like around Laguna Beach and stuff, where all these docks are. The ones in San Francisco were the more international docks. Like, that was a
Right.
constant threat that they would tell us. Like, if you fuck up, if you like do
You're
stuff, if you
going
don't,
to end up in a shipping container.
yeah, like, no one will even know where you went.
That's
So,
fucking awful. That is so awful. Yeah, and we know it happens. We know it happens, and that's, my God. So you've made it out, and you've clearly put a lot of work in to getting back to a normal life. How common is it for people to actually get out? Like, how many people would you say are probably walking around that nobody would even know?
that I would have a really hard time kind of giving an answer to you because I mean, I saw a lot of kids die in front of me, be killed. So, but you know, there's always the more like you're classified expendable or not, or for whatever reason, but it's just hard to say. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who went, and then it also depends on like the level and like who you were involved with. I think that there's quite a lot of people that I couldn't give a number. I mean, I know there's like
Right.
thousands, probably millions worldwide of this type of stuff, but I don't know. It, I'll put it this way. It was presented to me as like a threat. They basically beat it into you since you're a little kid. Like you try to leave, you're going to end up dead in a ditch or so unstable that you cannot function. Like you're going to be so like um you know, loony bin or dead with a needle in your arm somewhere,
Right.
basically, was what we were told if we left. So,
So basically, there's no hope. You've got to stay with us because we are
mhm,
your hope.
yeah.
So
And my
evil.
dad directed it is. And that's what my dad did to me. That was he purposely did the programming to make himself the center of my stability.
No,
Um,
nobody will love you except me.
yeah. He wanted in it just makes me so pissed off every time I think about like before she died, my mom was like, "Oh, he always treated you like his girlfriend." And I was like, something very wrong with you, mom.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's why I kind of went mostly no contact for the past 5 years,
Right,
but yeah. Um, they make your stability about staying compliant, which is horrific. And
right,
took a long time for me to kind of grab it back for myself and took a lot of therapy, but it's
right.
very evil stuff.
Um, I mean, with the world that we live in, with I mean, there's so many. The Finders, Franklin, Boys Town. I mean, I can just go on and on and on, not to mention all the Epstein stuff. I mean, from your perspective, what can anyone do about this? Because it kind of just seems like we are surrounded.
Well, um, I'm I try to not be pessimistic about it.
Right. Well,
Um,
and that's why I
but
ask, because I know that there is a solution. It's just I don't know. Like,
yeah. Um, the only thing I really have been able to think, the only thing I can think of is awareness. Um, if we could get like mass awareness of this stuff happening or being real, that could do a lot. But after being on X for 2.5 years, 2 years,
yeah,
oh no, the reaction to the Epstein stuff is just but there's also like but you know, then I come back to like, but there's got to be something. There's got to be something, but I can't. Society is the number one. The thing that was really some traffickers really like to psychologically just rub it in, and they, you know, made it very clear, like, you know, well, it's not our fault. Society just lets us do it. It's not our fault. Like people just
right.
don't care, don't believe it. It's not our fault, you know. So it's I don't know. Uh, just kind of a depressing black-pilled
It
thought.
it is, but I do agree there's something.
Mhm.
I guess that actually leads me, what, from your knowledge, your, I guess, expertise, that's not the word I wanted to use. But from your perspective, your unique perspective, because it kind of seems like one of the best ways to fight this is, for one, knowledge,
Mhm.
and to do everything humanly possible to not get wrapped up in it to begin with.
Yeah.
So, are there any sort of like warning signs, red flags that are like something that like you could look at and be like, no, hell no, I'm staying away from that? Is there anything, even a couple of them that you could share, that like something that people would be able to tangibly look at
Um,
or at least recognize?
so as you probably know, excuse me, most of this is generational, generational incest families or generational
Right.
stuff. But I'd say the uh, I'm just trying to like think through if there was really I do you mean like to avoid getting sucked into like the with these people, or do you mean like getting
Yeah.
sucked
So, like,
into
I don't know, say I'm you know, a young teenager that still likes to hang out at the mall. How do I stop from disappearing? you know?
um see, I was about to say friends, but the friends that I had, I was the one trying to hold them back from doing things like
Right.
getting into strange cars and weirdness. I guess make sure that you are always aware of, see, that sounds paranoid, but I mean, I was followed around a lot. Like I was stalked a lot too. And
Right. That's in the
so
whole aspect we didn't even get into, is the gang stalking.
yep, constant. Even when I went overseas to Italy and I like literally like this close, like the guy grabbed my wrist and I was able, it's crazy. Um, I'd say just stay, make sure you're always around other people. Make sure that you aren't going into, if something feels wrong, don't do it. Honestly, I know how that sounds, but like staying with friends, stay with people like don't
Right.
go off alone. Listen to your gut. If something feels wrong, just leave.
Right.
It sounds the simplest thing, but I mean it works as much
Well,
as you can. And
I
you
mean,
know,
we were given instinct for a reason.
hmm
Maybe we should stop ignoring that.
yes.
We're not smarter than, whatever we were given naturally, in my opinion. Um, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer. I guess, to wrap it up, what are some things that, I guess, are some common misconceptions that people usually have about any of these topics? Uh, Things that you feel as though uh, people should understand differently, or you wish that people knew the truth about this? What's just like something that you wish people understood more?
Definitely, there's definitely a few things. Definitely some things regarding that. I wish people would look at, so when you say mind control, when you say programming to people, they're just like, oh, that's just conspiracy nonsense. But if you look at the psychology behind, if you learn about trauma and if you learn about disassociation and you learn about um, behavioral modification techniques that people use in schools, like in a healthy way, obviously,
Right.
it all makes sense. And it is very, very explainable and very, very easy to then see how mind control is just very, very real, and there's really nothing conspiracy about it.
Yeah, it is literally all
Yeah,
around us.
it is. It's all. I mean, I think everyone's programmed from birth in whatever ways we are,
Right.
um, especially by the news.
No
Um,
kidding.
yeah. Then the other thing would be, trafficking, God, especially with this Epstein stuff coming out, is it's not, it's, there's so much more to it than people think. Um, you can just, you can find yourself in situations that, you can do your best to avoid, but you, people don't usually understand that there's like a lot of complexity to, um, being either a kid or a young teen and trying to navigate this, not exactly knowing that it's trafficking because of the misrepresentation of trafficking.
Right.
um
Right.
and there's a lot of threats. It's not just as simple as, why didn't you leave, why didn't you go to the cops? It's, they know your friends. They could tell me my friend's name that I had never mentioned to them. They could point out where she lived.
Right.
They threatened to kill your friends and your family, and it's just not as cut and dry, and it's not in the US. The last thing, the USA is not uh like a it's rare here thing. Like, it's very common here too.
Right.
Like, the US is like one of the biggest child trafficking hubs of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Last question, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. How much of this underground illegal industry is, how much of it exists because of the porn? Because it seems like almost all of it.
Do you mean um like as far as like the child explicit material? I guess they changed it.
Yes,
Trading, or do you mean?
Sam. Yeah. So it seems like the demand for the production fuels like spikes in disappearances.
Yeah.
It comes in waves, just like any sort of economy does, because it like, don't kid yourselves, it's an economy, it's just a black market one. um, but it seems like it's just always been the driving factor with this, with John David Norman and the Odyssey Foundation. He was trafficking boys to older men so they could sleep together. So it was about the prostitution, and it became about the porn, and it just always seems like it goes hand in hand. Like, one can't almost exist without the other. Like,
Yeah.
the whole what's the website, Pornhub thing, where they got busted because like 3/4 of the website was like illegal material.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yeah, that's really crazy to think about.
Right. And it just seems like it's so much bigger of like a driving factor in this. And that makes it even more complicated. And I don't know what to do about it even further.
Yeah, the child porn is a huge driving factor. Um, Even when they're doing other things for other reasons, they'll still find a way to monetize the footage or, aspects of it or
Right.
whatever it may be. Um, it's like this disgusting form of consumerism. Um, the porn stuff is just, I feel like it's also like an entry for a lot of them. Like once they start getting hooked on or they start consuming like porn with children, then they move on. And then if you know how to find child porn, then you probably know it's probably not going to be too hard for you to find like people in real life who have the ability to get you a child,
Right.
unfortunately.
Oh,
So
yeah, it's a lot to take in.
yeah.
Well, the one thing I do have to say, I love your story because, and I put this in the episode description last night when I was writing it out. I got a little carried away. It just kept flowing. But it is a dark story. But I think your story does show the strength of the human spirit, because you did end up on the other side of this, and sure, things aren't perfect, but all things considering, like, good for you. And
Thank you.
I think it should genuinely give people a lot of hope. And also, maybe what you're going through isn't quite that bad, So, but it's like, I think it's a really incredible story. And I think you should be very proud of where it's ended up. And I can say that I'm very proud to have you on my show, to have you come on and share your experiences. So I feel very honored. Thank you for that. And yes, you are welcome to come back anytime. You're always welcome on this platform. Anytime you got something to discuss, want to get more into the story or find an interesting angle or whatever, you're always welcome back. So yeah, I do think you should be very proud. And I'm proud to call you my friend because it takes a lot of courage to do what you do, because I'm sure it is still nerve-wracking. I mean, you said it was. And I mean, even just thinking about it, I feel a bit overwhelmed, So yeah, I can't sing your praises enough. And I'm totally here for it, because yeah, I'm still not quite sure the best plan of attack out of here to stop this. But I know being silent about it is not the right choice.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how much it's going to help, but these conversations do help.
Yeah. No, and thank you for saying all that. That means a lot. And I'm really glad that you're my friend and we got to have this conversation. I think that the conversation, like, I agree. The conversations are where it's at. It's better than not, and it's, you never know. Maybe it'll open the door to more things
Well,
coming
and
out.
honestly, I just hope it spreads the conversation.
Yeah.
That it actually does get more people talking about it, because more people talking about it are more people aware about it. And then it's a lot harder for these things to be done.
Mm-hmm.
The generation of a whole generation of latchkey kids, I think was a dream for human traffickers. We need to not let that happen again, you know?
Yeah.
So, but on that note, I don't want to keep too much of your time. Let people know where they can find you, and something you definitely want to have them go check out from here.
Well, you can find me on X at StellarFox16. I'm trying to get back into talking about this stuff. I have you should probably know my own YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where I made videos about programming and all of that. I'm so bad with this stuff. It's on my X. I think it's Kaity Stellar 33. So, and if there's anything else, then oh yeah, and then I took off my pinned post earlier, and then so that I could advertise the space. I'm gonna put the pinned post back up, and then it'll have all the links in there. But I just would implore everyone, if you're interested, just to go try to see what you can find and listen to some more survivor testimonies.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that's what
because you post really good stuff.
Thank you. I try. You know, I'm not quite sure what to do, so I'm just gonna not shut up about it. And you know, I started focusing on the mind control stuff because I think that's genuinely at the heart of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned earlier, it's everywhere. And we've gotten to a point where most people won't even acknowledge that it exists. I mean, I've been running around showing people evidence that the tunnels at McMartin most definitely existed. Even the FBI says so. And they still say, nope, debunked. Okay, sure.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
yep. I don't know what to do about it, honestly. But I'm not going to shut up about it. So the best way that you can help me not shut up about it is go to the Rise to Liberty master link, which is down in the episode description, along with Kaity's links. I've got a couple more to add, but that'll be done after the show. So yeah, go to allmylinks.com/rise to liberty. You can get my Twitter, Substack, risetoliberty.store, all the donation places, everything that you can find of me. That's where it is. Even my contact information. So check that out. And you can always help out by donating, because I am 100% viewer and listener funded, like PBS, but like actually PBS, not, viewer funded, but then I take subsidies. I don't do that. But I understand times are tough. So the best thing you can do is hit the like, share, subscribe. We can push back against the big tech overlords that seem to control our lives now. Get this conversation out there in front of people. Email it to somebody, text it to somebody, leave a comment. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, all of these things, because it lets the platform know that people want to watch it, and it spreads it out more. And that's what we need. So that's the best thing that you can do, dear listener and dear viewer, from this point on. So let's definitely get you back at some point. I'm sure I'm going to come up with some more questions.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And if you're interested in talking about it more, then yeah, it's definitely a great fit. So let's work on getting you back soon. And then I guess, yeah, I think that's it. So I don't have anything else. Make sure and go check out all of her links once again in the episode description. Next show will be Monday at 5:30 p.m. Mountain, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, regular schedule. I've got some cool things coming up, so make sure and hang around, and until next time, stay free, my friends.